Hello there, welcome to Showcase. Professional and new artists are gearing up for another summer exhibition of the Royal Academy of Arts in London. More than 1,600 works are displayed this year at what is the world's biggest open submission exhibit.
The Royal Academy of Arts Summer Exhibition has been around since 1769, when it was launched to raise funds. The event brings together all kinds of art, from prints and paintings to photography, sculptures, and even architectural models. Each edition is coordinated by an Academy member. This time, it's painter David Remfry's turn. His chosen theme is Only Connect. It's loosely based on a short quote from E.M. Forster's Howard's End, and it's his pledge against the divide he sees among people.
We are in an age of unprecedented ability to communicate with each other, and yet we're more fractured than in my lifetime globally. I think that we need to come together. My ambition was to make this summer exhibition the reverse of the outer disconnect, if you know what I mean. It's a bit ponderous way of putting it, but I wanted it to be a very a show which embraced everybody.
This year, the judging panel had to sift through 16,500 entries to pick the final contestants. It was not an easy task.
It's hard work. You get home at night, you can't even see. You've seen so many images in a day. It's horrible, that side of it. But the process, it's exciting. You really want to find good stuff and hang it on the wall.
The artworks are presented in a total of 11 galleries, and each can cost anywhere from $50,000 to hundreds of thousands of dollars. There is something for everyone.
You're bound to find something you love at the summer exhibition because there's so much of it. In terms of this year, it just feels like it's quite a fun vibe. It's like very bright and colourful and lots of interesting artworks. It doesn't seem too heavy in tone as some previous ones have felt. And I wonder whether that's what we want from a summer exhibition, just to keep it quite lively and quite interesting.
The summer exhibition opens on June 13th and runs until August 20th.
Celluloid film isn't immune to weather or other harsh conditions. That's why it could be in danger of disappearing forever. But as Ali Can Pamir reports, one company in Turkey is protecting that celluloid heritage, and it has recently saved two of Peter Sellers's lost films.
He learned, for instance, never underestimate a shopkeeper's own selling power.
Dearth of a salesman and insomnia is good for you. Two incomplete and considered lost Peter Sellers films from the 1950s are now up for viewing in pristine condition.
Yes, it's occupied by my feet.
The hunt for missing reels of the flicks took collectors to different countries. By the 2020s, they were all brought together, and the job of restoring these gems were given to Turkish company Akın Telesine. It's a family business, now run by brothers Cem and Barış Aykut. International movie buffs trusted them because the restoration process they offer is quite unique.
Why they prefer us? Because we can say we are famous in UK, especially about AI, artificial intelligence film restoration process. So this is a unique process. We made these AI algorithms. With this AI algorithm, we can remove all the dust and scratches approximately 85 and 90% automatically. So our AI system is very popular in the UK. And they prefer us, thanks God, they prefer us. And we restored these two Peter Sellers films in 4K resolution.
The company is also responsible for giving older Turkish movies a modern makeover. They are also in demand by the British when it comes to entrusting their royal heritage. And saving these films all come out of the same demanding process, which requires the highest tech equipment available.
First of all, we analyze the film. We analyze the perforations of the film. Is there is a crack or some dusts? We fix physically, first of all, the films. After that, we put the film in our ultrasonic film cleaner. It has a 3M liquid. It's a very special liquid, and with this liquid and the ultrasound process, it cleans the films. It removes the dusts on the films, and after that, we put it to our scanners. So. When we put these films in the scanners, we control the scanners with these remote controllers. And while scanning, we color graded them. We adjusted illumination and contrast. And after that, we digitize all the films to the digital hard drives. After that, we put all the digitized data to our AI system.
All that technicality aside, preserving film is important for various reasons that concern us all.
Film restoration is so important for me because when you remove a footage of film, you recover all the info, all the cultural heritage of the film. You may restore a comedy or cinema film, or a documentary film, or a cultural, historical film. But when you restore, especially in higher resolutions, you recover another details that has not been seen before. So it's very, very, very important in cultural stage and art stage and also historical stage.
And it's thanks to celluloid archaeologists like these that the rich history of film will reach future generations. Alican Pamir, TRT World, İstanbul.
To increase collaboration among European museums, the Louvre has formed a partnership with Museo di Capodimonte in Naples, which is one of the largest museums in Italy. The two institutions have joined forces for an exhibition of masterpieces, and it has brought a touch of the Mediterranean breeze into the French capital.
Some 60 works from the Italian Museo di Capodimonte are now at the Louvre for an exhibition titled Naples in Paris. This is the world's largest exhibition devoted to the Italian Renaissance, and it will remain on display for 6 months, along with the Louvre's own collections. Instead of opening a separate space for the masterpieces, the host opted for a different setting.
Et c'est vraiment exceptionnel parce que on n'a pas.
It is truly exceptional because we haven't organized an exhibition of masterpieces from Capodimonte Museum. We have combined them with the Louvre collection so that the Capodimonte paintings and the Louvre paintings illuminate each other. We have completely redesigned the layout of the Grand Galerie, the Louvre's traditional home for Italian painting, to create a dialogue between our two institutions.
De façon à créer.
The event will provide a unique insight into Italian painting from the 15th to the 17th century and offer a fresh perspective on the two collections.
La première chose qu'on souhaite pour nos visiteurs, c'est
The first thing we want for our visitors to enjoy themselves immensely. And then, for the international public who are coming for the first time, we want them to discover, with the reunion of the Louvre and Capodimonte, perhaps the finest collection of Italian art in the world, here together for 6 months.
The museum has also organized outdoor cultural events to offer more in this Neapolitan season in Paris.
The Vatican Museum has added 2 new rooms to its exhibition route. One is a recreation of a historic pharmacy, and the other one is a collection of ceramics dating back to the Renaissance. Let's take a look.
These blue and white glazed vases, better known as Maholica pottery, date back to the 17th century. They were once used by nuns in a pharmacy that operated inside the monastery of Santa Cecilia in Trastevere.
Undoubtedly, among the most interesting objects are the Maholica set of apothecary items, which you can see behind me. This is the cobalt blue painted Maholica collection, with the names of the medicine inscribed on the front of the vases. Then there is the complete series of water jars, which are the larger ones you can see on the bottom shelf, and some on the top. Also the complete series of syrup jars.
This ancient apothecary is one of the most complete in Italy. In 1936, the entire collection was transferred to the Vatican Apostolic for preservation, and some 60 years later, it found its way to the Vatican museums.
This transfer froze the pharmacy in time, so much so that we find containers, crockery, glassware, objects from the first decades of the 17th century, and objects from the first decades of the 20th century.
A door inside the pharmacy leads to a second room called the Hall of Ceramics. It's the first ever display of the Vatican's entire collection of medieval and modern ceramics. It holds items excavated from St. Peter's Square, as well as floors painted by Raphael.
What we have behind me is one of the most probably empathic collection, the Renaissance collection of dishes and ceramics. But there is much more telling about the different aspects of the society, of the Italian society through these 10 centuries of life. Floors of the loggia of Raphael with the design of Raphael, floor of with incredible ceramics of the Borgia apartment.
The Vatican may be the smallest country in the world, but these artifacts are now a part of quite a large and permanent collection. And it also happens to be one of the most significant on display in Italy.
From Into the Spider-Verse to Across the Spider-Verse, the sequel to Marvel's animated Spider-Man film is getting just as much buzz as the first one. And for its makers, living up to the initial success meant a lot of pressure.
My name is Miles Morales. I'm Brooklyn's one and only Spider-Man.
In the second chapter of the Spider-Verse saga, Miles joins a team of spider people in the multiverse, where they'll have to face off a villain more powerful than anything they've ever seen.
Dalmatian, I am the Spot.
Miles is a biracial character that first appeared in the Ultimate Marvel comic books, which had a separate continuity from the mainstream Marvel universe. When the company ended the imprint in 2015, he then entered the main universe. In 2018, the character got its own film called Spider-Man: Into the Spider-Verse. This was the first animation in the Spider-Man franchise. It became an instant hit.
I'm not very liquid right now.
And that's why its makers wanted the sequel Across the Spider-Verse to be just as good or even better.
Well, you know, when you're trying to make this sequel to something that people really like, you know, the danger is that you will just repeat yourself. So the fact that, like, that first movie, that those were the best ideas we had, right? And if we can't do those again, you either have to fall back on your second best ideas, which is how you fail, or you have to like get better and come up with something even richer than that.
In this film, the struggle continues for Miles, aka Spider-Man, who tries to live up to the expectations of his family, all while rethinking what it means to be a hero.
You know what it does is it forces you to like ground the movie in character and relationships and in Miles' like personal journey. And so it actually is just a reminder of like what good writing is. That it's not just like all the stuff. It really is about the people.
And it's also an opportunity, obviously, to do something visually that hasn't been done before. And the idea that we could visit a bunch of different worlds and each one could feel like it was its own animation style, and like you're walking into a different painting by a different artist, and each world would have so much richness and depth, and it would look so different from the other ones. There's a huge technical challenge, but also an opportunity to give the audience something that they'd never seen before.
Everyone keeps telling me how my story is supposed to go.
Well, it seems both viewers and critics have loved what they've seen, and that keeps the hopes up for the next film, Beyond the Spider-Verse, that's set for release in 2024.
What happens when one's husband and childhood sweetheart come together? Well, in the case of playwright turned director Celine Song, it went on to become the biggest inspiration for her debut film Past Lives.
There's a word in Korean.
Nora and Hae-sung are two deeply connected childhood friends who have to separate after Nora's family emigrates from South Korea. The two reunite decades later in New York, but as Nora is married now, they have to confront reality and the lingering thought of what if?
와, 너다.
Past Lives is the brainchild of director Celine Song. She drew inspiration from her personal experiences to make the romantic drama film.
Sweethearts who reconnect 20 years later.
I think that the story of Nora and the one is that she quite literally crossed the Pacific Ocean, you know, to be in a different place. And she left somebody behind there, and she left a part of herself behind there too. And I think it does not mean that Nora's not happy being in the place that she is now, but I think that that little girl that she left behind back in Korea should also be acknowledged and grieved properly, because I think that that little girl deserves it more than anything.
And for Song, it was also important to showcase Korean family dynamics. As she says, the relationship with our parents defines the way our intimacy works.
It really meant something to present Nora's family life to be, first of all, one that I feel like I could have related to as somebody who is a child of two Korean artists, but also it needed to feel really different from Hae-sung's family life. Because I feel like it's not just true that the two of them are separated by distance, but also they're separated by philosophy and an ideology in their families too.
Song also interweaved Korean and American culture using various elements like language to showcase the cultural similarities and differences. The language part was also a first for actor Greta Lee, who plays Nora.
It just kind of reflects what it's like to be bilingual and to live a life in America and assimilate and lose certain parts of yourself. And yeah, language, like my Korean speaking and Koreanness has been private, and now it's on display for consumption. I remember asking Celine, like, do we actually need to show people this movie? And I was gently reminded that is an essential piece of this, actually.
Song's debut film has received positive reviews from critics, and for Michael Balderston, though it may seem like a simple movie, it's actually thematically rich, expertly crafted, and is sure to wow once all is said and done.
Why am I always the only black musician on stage? This is one of the questions that grapple the British double bassist who spent more than 3 decades in the classical music industry. And when she got tired of feeling like a stranger, she did something about it. Chichi Nwanaku hadn't felt this comfortable on stage for such a long time. That's because she was often the only black person, not just on stage, but also inside the whole auditorium. So in 2015, she founded Chinike, Europe's first majority black and ethnically diverse professional orchestra.
It's the most incredibly winning thing to feel represented on a stage. You know, if there's somebody, even if when you walk through the front of house to buy a ticket, if you don't see anyone who looks like you, that is immediately uncomfortable. But when you see people that look like you in any place, in the supermarket, at the train station, at the concert hall, at the cinema, you immediately feel that is a place that I can walk into with confidence.
The London-headquartered Chinike played at the prestigious New York Philharmonic's David Geffen Hall in Manhattan's Lincoln Center this week. The performance was part of their long-awaited North American debut tour. It was among the many performances the pandemic had pushed back in recent years. And in the US, there are similar organizations that promote representation of Black and Latino artists in classical music. But according to a 2014 study, only 1.4% of orchestra musicians were Black.
In the USA, I cannot understand why all of the orchestras aren't littered with people of colour, with black people. The level here is unbelievable, and it seems to me that the only colleagues of colour that I see who have a job in an orchestra in this country are those who are exceptional. We call it exceptionalism. We have to be that much better to actually be given a job.
Well, the situation is mind-boggling for Nwanaku, but she believes that, especially for young people, seeing more diverse faces on stage is an immediate door opener. So she keeps working for a more diverse future for classical music. The Cold War was much about secrets, with the East and West nations spending decades peeking above the Iron Curtain to pry into each other's covert missions and agents. Now one of that war's best-kept secrets in Denmark has been revealed to the public. And for many, the timing is just right.
This dugout, Reggen Vest, has been in the sleepy Danish town of Oplev since 1968. Yet, until a few years ago, even locals had no idea. Today, it's been turned into a museum.
We cannot ignore, for example,
But when NATO
substantial Soviet buildup of weapons in Angola,
and the Warsaw Pact were locked in the Cold War, it was a top-secret nuclear bunker, reserved for the monarch and high-ranking officials.
After the event of the Hungarian uprising and the Suez incidents, the fear of a war with a center in Europe was very real. And at the same time, also the nuclear bombs, and especially the hydrogen bombs, has evolved. And they were so devastating that you had to do something else than what you have done before. You have to think in another way. And one of the things that were a key issue was to keep governmental control into your country and to make places that could, as well as possible, protect the government against an atomic blast.
With the capacity to hide 350 people, the bunker also had rooms for journalists, communications specialists, as well as workers to operate the machinery. Curators say this was the last bastion, and its abandonment for any reason would have also meant the end of Denmark as we knew it. And museum goers get to experience that base life for themselves, 60 meters under a chalk hill.
You can see about everything here. And it is just as if they sort of left rooms when the Cold War stopped and then abandoned the place and went out. So you can see paper clips, paper, furnitures. Well, food is not preserved here, but all the plates and the cups and well, everything. Carpets, pillows, you name it.
The museum is dotted with posters that warn against the dangers of nuclear arms. And as international conflicts divide the world once more,
1 year ago,
curators say this bunker is more relevant now, with the Cold War feeling ever so close.
That's it for this episode of Showcase. I'm Esra Drust from me and the whole team here in Istanbul. Thanks for watching and bye for now.